You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Thanos was supposed to be the final boss of the Infinity Saga, the Mad Titan, the wielder of the Infinity Gauntlet, the architect of the Snap. It was all building to one moment. A purple giant sitting on a farmhouse porch watching the sunrise on a grateful universe. And then the Avengers came back, undid everything, and killed him twice. But here's the thing. Thanos saw it coming. Every version of it. Today, we're breaking down how Thanos predicted his own death in the MCU, how Infinity War proved his prophecy correct, and how Doctor Strange's 1 in 14 million was actually the answer to the question Thanos couldn't solve. Because Thanos' whole thesis was the universe is finite, its resources finite. He predicted every outcome, including the ones where he wins. The one outcome he didn't plan for was the one where he loses to himself. Or did he? Let's start at the beginning. Infinity War. Thanos arrives on the Statesman, the Asgardian refugee ship, and he's already won. The Power Stone is in his gauntlet. Loki is offering him the Tesseract. Thor is broken on the floor, and Thanos tells them everything. I know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail nonetheless. He's not bragging. He's not gloating. He's calm, almost mournful, because he knows how this ends. He's seen civilizations rise and fall. He's watched his own planet die. Thanos explains the doctrine. The universe is finite. Resources are finite. If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist. He's not a conqueror in his own mind. He's a savior. He's the only one willing to do what needs to be done. Dread it, run from it. Destiny still arrives. But here's the key moment. Thanos offers Loki a choice. Hand over the Tesseract or watch your brother die. He knows what Loki will choose. He's seen it. You will never be a god. That's not a threat. That's a prophecy. Because Thanos knew Loki would try to betray him. He knew Loki would pull the dagger. He knew the moment that hidden blade slid out of Loki's sleeve before Loki himself did. And he killed him for it. Calmly. Methodically. Because in Thanos' mind, this was always how it ended. And that's the thing about Thanos. He doesn't lose because he's outmatched. He loses because he chooses what he loses. He sacrifices Gamora for the Soul Stone. He sacrifices half the universe for balance. He sacrifices himself, in the end, because the mission is more important than the man. Thanos predicted this exact outcome. He warned them, and they didn't listen. But Thanos' prophecy didn't stop there. The moment he arrived on Titan, the moment he stood across from Tony Stark on the ruined husk of his dead planet, something deeper started moving. Cut to Titan. Thanos walks through the dust and the broken sky. Tony Stark, the man who built his life around protecting Earth from threats just like this, looks at the Mad Titan and says the line that changes everything. You're from Titan. Thanos turns. He smiles, sadly. I'm the only one who knows that. At least, I'm the only one left. And then he tells Tony the truth. I'm the only one who knows that. At least, I'm the only one left. He talks about his home. He talks about the famine. He talks about how he warned them, and they called him a madman, and they were destroyed. This is the man who watched his entire civilization die because they wouldn't listen to him. And now he's watching another civilization make the same mistake. He looks at Tony and says, "You have my respect, Stark. When I'm done, half of humanity will still be alive. I hope they remember you." That's not a villain monologuing. That's a man who's been carrying the weight of being right while everyone he loved died. Thanos isn't fighting the Avengers. He's fighting the same enemy he's been fighting his whole life. A universe that refuses to accept the truth. And on Titan, the Avengers almost beat him. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Iron Man. They almost pulled the gauntlet off. They almost won. And then Quill loses control. He hears that Thanos killed Gamora, and he snaps. He punches Thanos. He breaks the spell. And Thanos wakes up. He throws them aside. He wins. He gets the Time Stone. He goes to Wakanda. He gets the Mind Stone. He snaps his fingers. And half the universe turns to dust. This was supposed to be the setup for Avengers Endgame, a universe in mourning, heroes broken, a villain who won. But here's what Infinity War represents. It's the manifestation of Thanos' lifelong warning. If you don't act, you all die. If you don't accept the hard truth, the universe ends. Thanos was the reasonable one in his own mind. He'd done the math. He'd seen the projections. He'd watched the simulation play out 1,000 times in his head. And the moment he snapped his fingers, he knew something else was already coming for him. He knew the survivors would not let this stand. He knew the heroes who remained would tear apart reality itself to undo what he'd done. That fear, if you can call it fear in a being like Thanos, was justified. Because while Thanos was sitting on his farmhouse porch, watching the sunrise, the Avengers were already planning their counterattack. And the solution to that counterattack proved that Thanos' prophecy was already coming true. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another Marvel deep dive. Endgame. 5 years have passed. The universe is in ruins. The Avengers are scattered, broken, drinking themselves into oblivion, hunting war criminals, eating peanut butter sandwiches, and gaining weight. Hawkeye is murdering crime lords across the world. Black Widow is running what's left of the Avengers from an empty compound. Thor is hiding in New Asgard. And Tony Stark is on a farm with his daughter, trying to pretend the world he failed to save doesn't exist anymore. But there is no peace. Not really. Because Scott Lang comes back from the quantum realm with a plan. A time heist. Steal the stones from the past. Bring everyone back. Undo the snap. And the Avengers try it. They actually try it. They build the suits. They split into teams. They go back in time. They steal the Infinity Stones across multiple eras of MCU history. And it works. They get every stone. They bring them back. They build a new gauntlet. They're ready to undo everything. This is the moment Thanos predicted. Thanos knew someone would come for him. He knew the cycle would continue. He just didn't know it would be a past version of himself who finished the job. But that's the brilliance of Thanos' prophecy. It doesn't matter who pulls the trigger. What matters is that someone has to. Because back in 2014, Nebula's neural link gets crossed with present-day Nebula. And 2014 Thanos, the version who hasn't snapped yet, the version still wearing his battle armor, sees the future. He sees himself winning. He sees himself retiring. He sees the Avengers undoing his work, and he doesn't accept it. He builds his fleet. He gets Ebony Maw. He gets Proxima Midnight. He gets the entire Black Order back. And he travels through time to 2023 to finish what his future self started. But this Thanos is different. This Thanos isn't the philosopher of Infinity War. This Thanos isn't the broken farmer of the opening of Endgame. This Thanos is angry. This Thanos has seen the future and decided the future is wrong. I am inevitable. And that's where Thanos' entire thesis gets tested. Because Thanos believed he was destiny. He believed the universe demanded balance. He believed that no matter what choices anyone made, the math would always come back to him. And in a sense, he was right. Even after the original Thanos got beheaded by Thor in the opening of the movie, another Thanos rose to take his place. The role doesn't disappear. The throne doesn't go empty. Someone always carries the weight of the hard choice. But here's where it gets interesting. The Avengers undid the snap. They brought everyone back. They returned the Infinity Stones to their proper places in the timeline. They restored balance. Not Thanos' version of balance, but their own. They proved that the universe doesn't need a singular force making the hard choices. It needs heroes willing to do the impossible, which means Thanos lost. Not because he was outmatched, not because the Avengers were stronger, because someone outside his philosophy proved his philosophy wrong. So Thanos has a new problem. He can't beat the Avengers. He can't snap his fingers anymore because they have the stones. He can't manipulate the future because Nebula already burned that bridge. His entire strategy was built on certainty, and the Avengers just made certainty impossible. Which means Thanos needs a new plan. He needs to do what he refused to do the first time. He needs to destroy everything and start over. Then I'll shred this universe down to its last atom and then, with the stones you've collected for me, create a new one, teeming with life that knows not what it has lost, but only what it has been given. A grateful universe. That's not balance. That's not mercy. That's not the philosophy he preached on Titan. That's genocide for its own sake. That's a man who lost his certainty and replaced it with rage. Thanos became the villain his enemies always accused him of being, because once you've seen yourself fail, the only thing left is to make sure no one else gets to succeed. And that's where everything changes. Because while Thanos was preparing to erase reality, someone else was preparing to give it back. Here's the real twist. Thanos was never afraid of the Hulk. He was never afraid of Thor, even after Thor took his head off. He was never afraid of Captain America, even when Cap caught Mjolnir. The only person Thanos was ever afraid of was Dr. Stephen Strange. Because Strange doesn't fight with strength. He doesn't fight with weapons. He fights with possibility. On Titan, Strange used the Time Stone to look at 14,605 possible futures. And in only one, the Avengers won. One out of 14 million. And Thanos saw him do it. Thanos watched Strange's eyes go white. Thanos watched him come back from infinity with a single answer. And Thanos knew, in that moment, that he was already losing. Because Thanos' power was certainty. He saw one outcome and made it happen. He cut through possibilities like a blade through silk. But Strange saw every outcome. Strange saw the one timeline where Thanos lost. And Strange built the entire endgame around that timeline. Every move Strange made from that moment on was calibrated to that one impossible victory. Giving Thanos the Time Stone, letting Tony live, disappearing in the dust, coming back in Endgame with one finger raised. One. We're in the Endgame now. That's not magic. That's prophecy. Strange didn't beat Thanos with power. He beat him with knowledge. And Thanos knew it. The moment Strange handed over the Time Stone, Thanos paused. He looked at Strange. He understood. Because Thanos had spent his entire life being the only one who saw the truth. And now there was someone else in the room who saw more. Someone who'd done the math better. Someone who'd looked into infinity and come back with a winning lottery ticket. Kang sees a million outcomes and picks the best one. Thanos saw one outcome and made it real. But Strange saw every outcome and chose the one where Thanos doesn't. That's not temporal manipulation. That's not reality manipulation. That's narrative manipulation. And Thanos couldn't fight it because Doctor Strange wasn't playing his game. Thanos plays the game of certainty. Strange plays the game of possibility. And possibility always beats certainty in the long run, because possibility includes the timelines certainty can't see. And now in the MCU, Doctor Strange has done it again. He cast a spell that broke the multiverse. He opened the doors to incursions. He set the stage for Secret Wars. The man who beat Thanos is the same man who's about to face Doom. Because Strange's power was always the same. He sees what others can't. He chooses the impossible path. He bets everything on the 1 in 14 million. And Thanos saw this coming. Thanos said, "I am inevitable." What if the lie was that anything is inevitable? What if the real truth is that the universe is built on the one outcome no one predicts? The Council of Kangs wasn't preparing for war with the Avengers. They were preparing for war with the kind of mind that can see 14 million futures and pick the right one. But there's one final piece to this puzzle. One last callback to Thanos that ties everything together. Because Thanos didn't just predict his own death, he predicted his replacement. Back to Infinity War. Thanos has just acquired the Soul Stone. He's standing on Vormir. Gamora is dead at the bottom of the cliff. And Thanos isn't celebrating. He's crying. Real tears. The Mad Titan, the conqueror of worlds, weeping for the daughter he just murdered. And the Red Skull, the keeper of the stone, watches and says nothing. Because the Red Skull knows. The Red Skull has been on that cliff for 70 years. The Red Skull was Captain America's nemesis. The man who wanted to use the Tesseract to conquer the world. And what happened to him? The stones rejected him. The Tesseract sent him to Vormir to guard the very power he couldn't have. That's the cycle. That's the prophecy. The stones don't choose their wielder. They choose their guardian. The Red Skull wanted power and became a prisoner of it. Thanos wanted balance and became a slave to it. And anyone who tries to wield that kind of power, the power to rewrite reality, will eventually become what they tried to destroy. Reincarnation isn't just rebirth. It means transformation. It means becoming something new. What if Thanos wasn't talking about himself when he said inevitable? What if he was talking about the role, the throne, the burden of being the one who decides? The Red Skull carried it. Thanos carried it. Doctor Strange carries it now, in his own way. The Eye of Agamotto, the Time Stone, the Book of Vishanti, the Darkhold. Strange has touched every artifact of cosmic consequence in the MCU, and every time he does, he becomes a little less human and a little more of a guardian. Reincarnation. The role doesn't disappear. The person sitting on the cliff changes. The method changes, but the burden remains. Someone always has to make the choice no one else can make. And Thanos knew that. He saw every outcome, including the one where he loses, where his head rolls off his shoulders, where his fleet burns, where his snapped fingers undo themselves 5 years later. He saw it, and he accepted it. Because the role doesn't end with him. Someone else picks it up. Someone else carries the weight. And then we cut to Captain America standing alone on the battlefield. The portals open. Every hero in the MCU steps through. Black Panther, Doctor Strange, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Wanda, the Wasp, every army, every wizard, every king. Avengers, assemble. Thanos' army crashes against the gates. And one by one, the heroes Thanos thought he'd erased come back to make him pay. Tony Stark steals the stones. Tony Stark snaps his fingers. Tony Stark dies. The man who built the MCU dies undoing the thing that built him. The ultimate reincarnation. Thanos' mission completed by the man Thanos respected most. You have my respect, Stark. He meant it. He always meant it. Because Thanos saw Tony Stark on Titan and recognized him. Recognized the same burden. Recognized the same willingness to do what no one else would do. Recognized the same loneliness of being right when no one wants you to be. And in the end, Tony Stark proved Thanos right. The hard choice is the only choice. The cost is everything. And someone always has to pay it. So here's the final question. The one Thanos couldn't solve. The one the Avengers answered with their lives. The one Doctor Strange saw in his 14 million. How do you save a universe that refuses to save itself? Thanos' answer was sacrifice. Cut the population in half. Save the survivors. Restore balance. Force the universe to live within its means. But that's not saving. That's pruning. That's survival, not salvation. Tony Stark's answer was sacrifice. Take the stones. Snap the fingers. Burn yourself out to undo what was done. Give the universe back its dead. And that was salvation, but at the cost of the Savior. Doctor Strange's answer was different. Don't sacrifice. Don't dominate. See every possibility. Choose the one no one expects. Bet everything on the impossible outcome. And let everyone else play their part. That's not survival. That's not sacrifice. That's strategy. And that's what made Thanos lose. Because Thanos thought he was inevitable. Thanos thought destiny was on his side. But Strange proved that destiny is just the outcome you can see. And if you look hard enough, you can see another one. Thanos saw it coming. He knew someone would rise who didn't accept his math. He knew the Avengers couldn't be reasoned with. He knew his snap wouldn't be enough. And he accepted it because that's the cycle. There's always been a Thanos. And there's always been someone willing to undo him. Thanos said, "I am inevitable." Tony Stark said, "And I am Iron Man." Because Stark wasn't talking to Thanos. He was talking to history. He was talking to the cycle. He was saying that no matter how inevitable you think you are, someone is always going to stand up and prove you wrong. Someone is always going to be the one in 14 million. How do you beat fate? You don't accept it. You snap your fingers and rewrite it. Thanos' throne is empty. His army is dust. Strange is holding the multiverse together with his spells. And Doom is coming. With a new vision. With a new power. With a plan to do what Thanos only dreamed of. To rewrite reality itself. And when he does, Thanos' final prophecy will be complete. I am inevitable. The throne didn't disappear. It transformed. And the man sitting on it now doesn't balance the universe. He replaces it. Thanos saw it coming. He warned us. He told us exactly what would happen. Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.